Resident Evil 2 released in 1998. I was 17 years old, and 21 years later did remake it for a modern audience. But although it would be a fantastic game, it's not a patch on the original. This isn't a video about bashing one version or another, and now I know that a lot of passion around Resident Evil, with people holding very strong opinions on which is better, the remakes or the originals. But this video isn't about me telling you why the original is better and that you should definitely play it. This is a video on why it's brilliant for me. Before it was released, we had a demo. Back then, demos came on CDs, stuck to the front of a magazine. It was about 5 minutes or so to get as far as you could. During the summer of 1995, having played Resident Evil more times than I could count, my hype for this game was off the charts. There was no internet, no YouTubers with advanced copies to spoil everything. This was the most anticipated sequel of all time. Well, for me at least. And I must have played that demo more than 100 times, always just trying to get that little bit further before the time ran out. And when I first set eyes upon that STARS office, my excitement was off the charts. It was like all my Christmases had been squeezed into a drinks can and then shaken before it had been opened in my face. I wanted to search each and every square inch of that room, look at every little detail, but there was never enough time on that demo. I'd just have to wait a little bit longer. I stumbled across Resident Evil purely by chance. Blockbuster, our local video rental store, had started renting out PlayStations. That's right, you could actually rent an entire console. Later, they would require you to put a $600 deposit down, but in the early days, you could rent a console, 2 games for about $20 for a couple of nights. Me and my buddy rented Collect the Blood and something called Resident Evil. It was the back of the box that drew us in. We loved zombies, and from that opening scene, we were hooked. In fact, we stayed up all night playing it. We never actually did play Collect the Blood, and to this day, I've never played Collect the Blood. So when we found out Resident Evil 2 was being made, and it was set in the city, it blew our minds. I remember the games magazine getting really hyped at the fact that there would be up to 4 zombies on screen at once. 4 zombies. It had a picture of the east hallway with Leon standing ready with a shotgun, and the 4 zombies on screen. I bet the magazine would have had kittens if it was still around to cover Dead Rising. In reality, it was nothing more than the backdrop of the game. In a clever move, they actually made one building the new mansion. The RPD is where you'll spend most of the game, and would fill it with puzzles, interesting context-appropriate rooms, and files to show how the downfall of the station led to so many police zombies wandering around. You're going to have yourself a second iconic place in the Resident Evil franchise. The music is top quality too, eerily gothic, and memorable. You play this piece of music to any fan, and instantly you should know where you'll be standing. What I love about Resident Evil 2 is they took a risk. They didn't bring back any characters from the first game. Not many games do that, and Resident Evil never done it again in a mainline title. Setting the game in the heart of Raccoon City and the very police station, and not having any STARS members present, was not only a bold move, but it also helped expand the world. Resident Evil Outbreak would also show other survivors of Raccoon City, reinforcing this aspect. Did I like it at the time? Oh no, I wanted to see the next adventures of Chris and Jill. I missed the cheesy one-liners of Barry.
It's a weapon. It's really powerful, especially against living things.
But Resident Evil is so good, by the end of the game, you fall in love with Claire and Leon, and even Ada. It's a shame they changed Leon's personality in later games, but that video is for another time. After you've explored the RPD, gushed over the very office Chris and Jill and company shared, imagining what conversations they've had, met a couple of the other survivors and a deranged police chief.
Not bad, girl. But I'm not letting anyone leave my town. Everyone's gonna die.
It's time to start thinking about leaving, knowing that they've made it perfectly clear going back into the streets is a no-go. What better way to escape than taking the sewer system? Walking through it, you can almost smell how rancid it is. Now, Resident Evil is known for its enlarged creatures. Seeing giant spiders for the first time is pretty scary, and to see them in the sewer, it's expected. What I didn't expect was a 10-foot crocodile. I mean, they just keep subverting your expectations with this game. The whole time you have been learning about Umbrella and their grip on the city, how they've been paying off the police chief, and that they have a secret entrance to the underground lab. So if there's an underground lab, then there's going to be a way out of the city. I think by this time in the game I'd gotten over the disappointment of Chris and Jill and Barry for not being in the game. Yes, I know I didn't mention Rebecca there, but I mostly played as Jill. Capcom may have changed the location and the characters, but the story still hits all the winning notes. Just as the first game, the RPD replaces the mansion, the sewers replace the caves, and both have a secret underground research lab.
There he is.
So you finally come.
Doctor, we're here to collect the G-Virus sample.
Sorry, but I won't just hand over my life's work.
In Resident Evil 2, it had to be bigger. I really love that you can see Birkin's lab. On the way down here, you see how the virus spread, and then it's almost like a second STARS office moment when you realise you're actually standing in Ground Zero. There's also a couple of dead Umbrella agents that you can spot on the way here. It was this kind of level of detail that they put in that makes you want to explore every nook and cranny of the game. Again, like the first game, the lab ties up some of the loose ends here. There's a boss fight, and the heroes escape. Now, I've been gushing over this game, and I still haven't told you about the best part. You see, once you've finished, you can replay the game as the other character. So if you started as Claire, you can replay the entire game as Leon, and vice versa. But, and here's the kicker, it isn't the same game. Well, kind of. They worked it so that you see the game from the other person's perspective. There's a new enemy that's almost like the Terminator, constantly pursuing you to locations that are now slightly changed. You'll see how the wreckage is removed, and it really makes you feel that Leon and Claire, although only coming into contact a handful of times, are really working together.
Leon, are you still there? We're leaving.
Are you crazy? The streets are still crawling with zombies.
If you take the side pack and the machine gun, then they won't be there for the other character when they get to that point. If you fix the shutters, then the zombies won't break through on the second playthrough. Yes, some of the puzzles are the same, and some of the items are just in different places, but with the destruction of the RPD, Mr. X constantly chasing you, the second time around feels a lot more frantic. And with the remakes, they just didn't quite capture the same magic, because only one location has changed, and Mr. X is being present the entire time, took away that feeling that they were in the same place at the same time. With the originals, they would speak to each other on the radio, and you kind of get to know where the other person is in the building. That was being replaced with notes left for the player, which just wasn't the same. Resident Evil 2, for me, was brilliant. It captured everything that I loved about the first game and made it so much better. The game had two different ways to play, each giving you different content and dialogue. And by the time you'd reached the end of the amazing story and seen the extended ending, you want to dive straight back in there. I've not even touched on the characters you meet in the game, or how Chief Irons has gone completely mad as his station has crumbled around him, or the mysterious Ada who's in town looking for her boyfriend. Or is she? But I'll save them for another video. So if you made it this far, thank you, I appreciate it, but I'd like to know, have you played the original Resident Evil 2? And which one do you prefer, the original or the remake? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're new to the series and wondering if the remake of Resident Evil 1 is worth a play, then you'll need to watch this video that's on screen now. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you for watching, Survivors, and I'll see you next time. I wanted to see the next adventures of Chiss and Drill.